Hey everyone, Estrongel here, and in this video I'm going to be going over the RuneCraft 1.3.7 patch notes. Not a lot in terms of new features, however I fixed a lot of bugs that were causing some breaking issues or were just simply annoying. So yeah, let's get into the video, and the link to the patch notes and the download for the update is down in the description. Thank you. First up is prayers are no longer going to activate when you interact with a crafting block while holding the prayer book. So before, let me just give myself a crafting table. So any crafting block, crafting table, I guess furnace, anything that would open UI would activate your prayers if you're holding your prayer book while interacting with it. So let's just say, so before this update, this would have activated my jump boost prayer. Now, luckily, it doesn't. Next up is players will now level up the correct amount of times when they would gain so much experience where they would level up more than once. This isn't really an issue with other skills at the moment. However, it mostly affects prayer. So if I were to let me just show off this new feature really quick. Wrong item, wrong thing. You can now reset all of your skills. So I'm going to reset myself back to 1. Let's say I never touched prayer, and I got a dragon bone. And so using this on this altar would level me up more than one time. Before, it would not register that I leveled up twice there. So the player would be stuck at only having 2 prayer points, and just other features would just have issues with that. So that's no longer an issue. And then there's also another problem related to gilded altars just not being interactable. So that's fixed now as well. Leveling up prayer, I just went over that one. By the way, if you were to run into this bug where your prayer would not increase to the appropriate amount, leaving and rejoining the world would have fixed the issue. I have a whole bunch of stuff in place to basically validate all of your stats whenever you leave and rejoin a world. So if anything's ever breaking for you, whether it's thieving, since I know there's some issues in there, or prayer, you could just leave the world and rejoin and it should fix all of that. Oh, staying on the topic of gilded altars, there's an issue where gilded altars, for whatever reason, weren't showing up like in the crafting menu at all. So nobody knew they could be crafted. New players didn't know what the recipe was, and there's just confusion in there. So I managed to figure out how to fix this one. It took me a little bit, but it is now showing up. You can see the recipe and know everything you need for it. For some reason, although the gilded altar centerpiece doesn't show up in the crafting menu by typing in gilded, the only way to get it to show up is to type in altar or centerpiece. I don't know why. I'm guessing there's still some just underlying bugs related to their search system that need to be fixed. But yeah, so that's working now, which is good. I also resolved a world-breaking issue. I discovered this while I was making this reset skill system, where if a player were to lower their prayer level below what its current value is at, so say I'm at prayer level 3 and I were to set myself back to prayer level 1, what that would have done before is actually completely break the world. You wouldn't have been able to rejoin, and it would have just pretty much crashed on you instantly. So that's fixed now, which is good. Another issue was Lapis Lazuli was having the wrong error message being output. It was trying to say that you needed 1 level. I don't remember which level it was, but it would say that you needed 1 level, a specific mining level in order to mine Lapis Lazuli. However, that level was incorrect, and that has now been fixed. And let's go on to skill capes, because I know there's some issues there. There's a big issue with them that's been around for a while, which is they were not rendering on the player correctly. So let me just make myself Julie level 99. So they weren't rendering on the player correctly. This has been fixed. So I know this only really popped up as an issue as people started to get max level in any particular skill. But this should now be fixed. So that one's 99. This one's 120. Huh. Okay. So that is potentially another bug, which won't be fixed in this version. I don't think it's too big of an issue. Let me try rejoining just to make sure it's not something that just needs a reload to fix. Okay, yeah. So the reason why just changing the scoreboard value wasn't enough to fix that is because scoreboard values do not communicate or cross over to the resource pack, which is what is rendering the cape. It actually is using a dynamic property, which I can't really set through just commands like this. So that would need a reload of the world in order to display correctly. Let's see. Going to another agility issue. Whenever loading into a world for the first time, the player would be given agility XP from fall damage. It would not give them XP. So anytime they left and rejoined the world, you would basically need to take fall damage at least once before you start getting agility XP. This has now been fixed. I just did some reworking to the code to make sure it does a check on the first time and initializes some backend variables. Some minor bug fixes. Adamant ingots weren't showing up in loot tables for chests in the Zamorak Temple in the Nether. Those should now be showing up. Zombie pigmen no longer spawn with golden swords. I think they're using the iron swords that piglins are using. Or it's black swords. I'm not too sure about that. It's one of the two. Actually, could I just summon a piglin? Or zombie pigmen, sorry. Yeah, okay, so they're spawning with iron swords, not black swords. Black swords are relegated to only being obtainable from piglins. And I want to say brute pigmen, however, I think those only spawn in bastions, and there is a huge technical issue with bastions just because it's a structure. And all of the pigmen and piglins and piglin brutes in there spawn with the structure. They load in with the structure, so they don't spawn naturally. And because of that, any of the changes I make to their entity files does not actually carry over. So the piglin loot table or equipment table is defined to, that's arrangement. The piglin loot table is defined to give them, is defined to give them, it's defined to give them different equipment. However, since they're loaded in with the structure, none of that can be changed. They're kept with the default equipment, so they still have gold swords. And as far as I know, that is the only way to obtain gold swords still. So do with that information what you will. Going on to thieving, there's actually a huge issue. I'm not going to try it right now because I'd have to inflate my thieving level and then try a whole bunch of times to get something. But there's a major issue with thieving where any item that would normally roll to successfully be enchanted would not be given to the player. So it would basically just error out. No item would be given. So I fixed that. That one probably took the longest. It took me maybe 2 weeks before I figured out a solution that was actually extremely simple. And then the last bug is that Drowned now dropped the correct rotten flesh. They're dropping the vanilla rotten flesh instead of the RuneCraft rotten flesh, which means that you wouldn't be able to use it for prayer. I have tried to make the vanilla like bones and rotten flesh usable for prayer, but I've been completely unsuccessful in my attempts because I would need to modify the item in some way, and I'm not able to do that right now, since vanilla items are not data driven aside from food. Alright, going over to let's go to some new features. I guess this one's a feature that is coming back. So I removed the whole like debilitating effects when you aren't supposed to be doing something. It used to give weakness, mining fatigue, and slowness whenever you did something. I removed that to where it'll either auto unequip the item or just give you slowness. However, that has issues when you're fighting stuff, and the only negative effect you get is mining fatigue, which makes no sense. You're still going to be able to do loads of damage. So now you just get weakness, and then you get spammed error messages. So this should no longer be explodable. Another thing was that if you're in a block's menu, one of the custom blocks, so right now this only affects prayer, but in the future it's going to be affecting herb lore and cooking and smithing. But right now it's just going to be prayer. If you're in the menu and something happens to the block, whether it gets moved or it gets broken, it will not take whatever changes you made. The game will send out an error message telling you like, hey, the block was moved, the changes were not made, you need to redo that. Let's see, you guys may have already seen this other change, but the gilded altar now requires 3 deep slate, as opposed to what was previously just 1. There's no more reason behind this. I just felt it looked nicer than just having 1. And I mean, it's not like it's a hard resource to get. If you found 1, you found many usually. So I don't think it's too big of an issue there. I just think it looks nicer. And the other block changed was the custom jukebox, which has been broken for a while now. I just removed it, so you can't craft one at all right now. Sorry if you had a custom jukebox just lying around. It is no longer going to be there, most likely, because I think I commented out all of the code for it, so it's just not even the add-on at the moment. And let me just check the list. Okay, that looks like all of it. There are hopefully not that many bugs right now, but I am working on herb lore and some other new features. I plan to have a video on a cool new aspect of, I guess, herb lore, or I guess it's adjacent to what herb lore is going to be doing, coming out, and hopefully maybe this upcoming weekend. No news on when the next big update that's going to have herb lore and farming is coming out, though. I still have a lot of work to do with that. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.